Hi. Folio members ask me sometimes what the best way to contact some of the clients that I send on Folio is. And what I've found to be really useful is using an app called Pipedrive to follow up and remind me basically to check in with clients throughout the sales process. What it's really great for is making sure you don't forget to follow up and making sure things don't fall through the cracks as you attempt to negotiate and land a client from Folio and other places as well. So I'm going to walk you through kind of the way I've set up my Pipedrive, and hopefully it's helpful for you in setting something up that's similar or changing kind of the way you think about sort of approaching these clients. So often I'll start with a Folio project like this, standard Folio project that comes in, and the first thing I'll do is go ahead and click reply to the project. And so for this one, it looks like the application is through AngelList, so I would go ahead and do that. Additionally, you might find that there's extra contact information that you can find. This one, for example, was pretty easy to find an email address. So what I'll do is I'll write that email, send him an email, and as well as apply through AngelList. And when I'm doing that, then I go to Pipedrive. And I recommend going directly to Pipedrive and not waiting until later to do it. Doing it all at once, I think it makes the entire process a lot easier. So once you've received the lead from Folio, or once you've contacted them, you click Add a Deal. And so this is where you're gonna kind of put the person's name in. So for this one, it was Jeremy Thiessen, and the organization name was Rogue Technologies. And so what this does is Pipedrive will automatically create a deal. Is what's happening here is it's creating a deal. And you can assign a deal value to it. So for you, it might be $10,000. For now, I'm just going to put in $500. And there's different stages of that in the pipeline that you can bring each prospect through, and I'll walk you through that in a second. So for now, I'm just going to click Save, and I'll hit refresh here so that that card kind of goes to the top here because it doesn't have a activity assigned to it yet. It moves it to the top and it gives it this yellow icon here. And so what that's really good for is it makes sure that you've scheduled some activity for each and every single lead at all times, so that you don't forget. So it wants me to schedule an activity, so I will. I'll say send a follow-up email in a week. So today's Monday, I'll do the Monday the 20th, I'll do Monday the 27th. So next week, I'm going to follow up with him about the project. And that's it. Now it's in here. Now I don't have to worry about remembering. Now I don't have to do anything besides wait. And then on Monday when I come in here, there will be a notification for me to follow up. And so let's say tomorrow on Tuesday, Jeremy replies to me and I no longer need to follow up. I would then drag him over here to In Conversation. And so the different stages that I alluded to earlier are lead qualified, in conversation, meeting scheduled, ready for proposal, negotiating details, and waiting on payment. So I just mentioned that I dragged him over here to In Conversation. So what that does is now it's a slightly different process, right? So once we're in conversation, I'm going to maybe be waiting for him to reply. Maybe I no longer have to do this follow-up. And I can set a different reminder, like maybe a task to remind me to do something else, like check in on it or archive the email. And once we have a meeting on the books, I can move him over to meeting scheduled. And this actually syncs with your calendar, so you'll be able to see that as well. On the day that there's a follow-up or a task assigned, this icon will turn into a green check mark, and you can just check that off as well. After our meeting, I'll probably either move him over to ready for proposals, or I will disqualify him because he's not the right fit, and I'll drop him over here on lost. I won't do that just quite yet. For for here, the follow-up would probably be something like send a proposal. And I would assign that as well a date. The whole process here is basically just giving me an easy look at how many deals are in my pipeline at all times without me, and it gives me a much better look of it than you would get in just a regular inbox where everything is just kind of all in one folder, right? And so what this has helped me with is just kind of getting a better understanding of the entire pipeline and making sure things don't fall through the cracks. So once I send the proposal, that's when I would move him over to negotiating details. And they'll probably stay on negotiating details for a long time because I will be most likely doing the work as well as maybe sending an invoice or whatever. Once I send the invoice, that's when I move it over to waiting on payment. So yeah, that's a quick overview of it. One thing I will say is the projects I send on Folyo, and just every lead in general, if they're posting like on a job board, one thing to remember is that they're likely getting a lot of responses all at once, especially around the time that they posted. So one recommendation I have for you is when a project comes through Folyo, maybe not. You can send them an email and add them to Pipedrive, but then I might hold off on sending a follow-up email for maybe like a month, even sometimes, because I feel like I've seen better success, and I've had numerous different Folyo customers tell me the same idea, which is that giving yourself kind of a buffer and not coming in when everybody else comes in can play to your advantage in a lot of ways as well. And this way also, I'm kind of building a relationship with all of these people here, because I'm continually following up until I hear a no from them via email, or I decide that they're not relevant to my business, or they don't respond to me for long enough to where I no longer want to contact them. And I email them the magic email, which I'll show you, the magic email. Which just basically says, since I haven't heard back from you, I'm going to assume you're not interested, and that oftentimes is enough for them to actually reply. Funnily enough, so I'll do that. And this is just a system to ensure I don't have to think about it. I don't have to spend a bunch of time setting anything up. This just works for me. And once a day, or once every few days, you can come in here and check off a bunch of them, go through them all at once. And it reduces the mental load it takes to have a whole follow-up system and all of this. So yeah, I hope this is helpful for you, and I hope it's kind of giving you some ideas for how to possibly use some of the leads differently and this follow-up system a little bit differently. And yeah, let me know if it's helpful, and I will. I'm happy to go over any questions you may have about this as well.